The vanishing scent of his cologne hung in the air, a haunting reminder of the man I thought I knew. I stood frozen, knife in hand, my heart racing beneath a shroud of disbelief as the light glinted off the blade, casting erratic shadows across the pristine kitchen. The dark walnut countertops, once a comforting embrace, now felt foreign and ominous, echoing the shambles of my heart. The faint notes of vanilla from the freshly baked cake intermingled with the acrid scent of betrayal, wrapping around me like an unwanted shroud. The cold light from the crystal chandelier above dazzled and blinded, flickering against the polished silverware, making the moment feel surreal. I could almost hear the soft tinkling of the chandelier crystals, echoing like laughter in my head, mocking my naivety. My fingertips brushed against the smooth handle of the knife, and the weight of my emotions felt heavier than the blade itself. A noise from the hallway snapped me back. The sliding of the door interrupted my thoughts, and there he was, Victor. His entrance felt orchestrated, the way he confidently strode in, almost as if he owned the very air I breathed. He smiled, that lazy grin that once made my heart flutter, but now it curdled my stomach. In his hand, he clutched an envelope adorned with an elegant seal, the kind that hinted at decisions made behind closed doors, decisions that would soon unravel my life. I closed my eyes momentarily, a flashback spiraling into the forefront of my mind. The years of endless sacrifices and late nights. I had been the one to push him, to bolster his dreams with every last ounce of my being. I remembered sitting in a cramped studio apartment, sharing a single bowl of instant ramen, while he dined on gourmet meals at work functions. I had weathered the storms of doubt when his first startup crumbled, but whispered words of encouragement had rebuilt his resolve. I was a ghost in the backdrop, molding and crafting the man who now stood before me, unrecognizable. "My darling," he called, the sweetness of his voice now draped in saccharine deceit. "I have something exciting to share." His tone betrayed nothing, a sharp contrast to the overwhelming chaos engulfing my mind. "Really?" I managed to choke out, my voice barely a whisper. What could possibly be more exciting than having a celebratory cake ready for our anniversary? "This." He waved the envelope in the air like a trophy, eyes sparkling with triumph as if the world were still his oyster. "We've been accepted into the exclusive investment circle. With their guidance, we can finally amplify our portfolio." I felt a surge of nausea. The words ricocheted around my brain, jarring my senses. "We?" I echoed, incredulity lacing my tone. "Victor, remember who supported you all these years? Who made sacrifices? Who—" The words clawed at my throat, threatening to choke me. It wasn't the investment circle that made me sick. It was the nauseating realization that he had been spinning webs behind my back all along. Victor's smile faltered for just a split second, the first crack in his carefully constructed facade, but it was as quickly gone as it had appeared. He couldn't waste a moment slipping into his victim narrative. "Darling, you just don't understand the complexities of the financial world. I promised this would be our year, didn't I? Besides," he added, a note of uncertainty creeping in, "I've earned every bit of this without you. It's not your story, unless you're a part of it." That statement lingered in the air, thick and suffocating. My world tilted on its axis, my gaze falling to the envelope. Something visceral told me it concealed far more than what he presented. It was a token of deceit, a key to a vault of secrets hidden from me. A glimmer caught my attention. His lapel pin, the delicate sheen of it, almost too shiny against the fabric of his blazer, served as a grotesque reminder of everything he had taken from me. My vision clouded as I glanced back at the cake. My hands trembled as I concealed the knife behind my back. A flicker of rage ignited within me, fueling the embers of betrayal. "Show me what's in the envelope, Victor," I demanded, my voice dangerously low. He chuckled, a sound foreign and chilling. "You want to see it? Why would I share such details with you? You never understood these things anyway." It was a laugh tinged with arrogance and condescension, and it echoed in my mind, a cruel reminder of the many times I had been relegated to the background. Suddenly the air crackled with tension, the walls of our home closing in around me as I struggled to come to grips with my reality. "I won't ask again." My tone, though calm, rolled with an undercurrent of steel, sharpening the immediacy of the situation. The tension shifted, the silence stretching like overcooked spaghetti until it snapped with a resounding crack. "Fine. You want it? Here." With a swift motion, he flung the envelope across the table, chasing the dream I had built with him away like a scandalous whisper. The envelope slid inches from my grip, edged with the knowledge that I was about to uncover the truth. With trembling fingers, I reached for it, the slick paper cool against my skin, a tangible representation of the years I had poured into this man. The moment I splintered the seal, visions of my world collapsing intensified. As I spread the flap to reveal the contents, I felt like the hero in a vintage film, trembling on the precipice of an epiphany. Lifting the papers inside, my stomach dropped into an abyss of cold realization. Tax documents, stocks and assets, figures with commas that swam before my eyes. Listed weren't just investments. They were my life, my dreams, the very foundation I thought we had built together. But there, among the meticulously crafted papers, I spotted a detail so jarring that my breath caught. Unreported income, hidden figures that danced in and out of existence like phantoms, mocking me with their certainty of betrayal. "I knew you couldn't be trusted," I said, my voice steady despite the whirlwind inside. "You've done this all along, haven't you?" I dropped the papers onto the table with a weight that echoed through every corner of the room. Victor stammered, color draining from his face like paint stripped from a canvas. Those are just projections." "Projections? You've hidden millions from me, Victor. Millions that belong to us. How can I trust a word you say when it's clear you were simply waiting for my downfall?" The slicing edge of my words pierced through the facade he had constructed, breaking him down as the truth crashed over me like a winter wave. For a moment, pure silence ensued, and the reality of the situation hung heavily like fog laced with despair. He spewed pleas that dripped with gaslighting, a flurry of, "You're misunderstanding," and "It's not what it seems." But all I could hear was the brittle sound of my heart shattering, piece by piece. I wouldn't let him turn this against me. I wouldn't be the scapegoat while he hid behind his lies. No, this was not just an end. It was the impending storm of my resurgence. If you want to see how this wife destroys the traitor, subscribe now. The challenge hung between us, an unfulfilled promise twisted into reality, and I found the strength to take back my narrative once and for all. The distorted reality clung to me like the sweet fragrance of rotten fruit, festering and invasive. Victor's laughter echoed in my ears, teasing, taunting me, whispering insidious doubts that crept into the corners of my mind. It swirled like a tempest, a bluster of accusations veiled in charm, blinding me like fog on a treacherous road. I found myself doubting everything I knew, everything I ever believed was true about our life together. Had he been right? Was I just an overreacting woman, clinging to shadows of deception? The wild symphony of my memories clashed against the ominous silence that enveloped our home. I had never seen it as I did now. The walls I had once touched with love now loomed over me like silent witnesses to my spiraling descent. I wandered through our home, numb, aware of the way my footsteps echoed softly across the marbled floor, punctuating the silence with every tentative step. Each room bore witness to half-remembered laughter and the bitterness of hidden secrets. The plush sofa where we spent lazy Sundays, sipping coffee, now a reminder of betrayal. I glanced at our gallery of framed photos, my heart constricting at the sight of our vibrant smiles frozen in time, shadows hiding behind each moment captured. How could I have been so blind? Even as I questioned my sanity, I knew I couldn't remain a prisoner here, in this home woven from deception. When I finally found a sliver of clarity, I picked up the phone and called Lily, a steadfast friend and one of the few people who had ever truly seen me. Her laughter always infused warmth into the icy grip Victor had over me. "Hey, what's up?" Her voice crackled through the speaker, bursting through the stillness. I took a deep breath, the faint lingering scent of vanilla frosting from the ruined cake wafting by, a haunting reminder of our anniversary that would forever be tarnished. "Lily, I need your help." The words spilled out like the raw emotions I had contained for far too long. I felt vulnerable as I explained the depth of betrayal, but as I spoke, the tremor in my voice began to dissipate, replaced by the steely resolve of reclaiming my narrative. There was no one else who could understand the insidious nature of deceit, like Lily, who had herself escaped the grasp of a toxic marriage. "Sounds like you need someone who can help you dig deeper. I can't promise anything, but maybe I could reach out to a friend, a lawyer," she said, lacing her words with authority. "Someone who specializes in financial fraud and hidden assets. You need an ally who knows this world inside out." Her suggestion ignited a flicker of hope, a lifeline in the tumultuous sea of despair. "Yes, please. I need to gather evidence. Anything that will help show the truth," I replied, each word solidifying my resolve. After hanging up, I dusted off my detective skills, transforming our home into a fortress of information gathering. Each piece of evidence I unearthed would become the arsenal in my war against Victor's insidious spell. I moved stealthily, a phantom in my own life, quietly disappearing into the shadows where secrets festered. A sense of purpose washed over me as I navigated through the crammed filing cabinets in the home office. The wooden drawers groaned in protest as I yanked them open, each file representing the years of sacrifice molded into meticulous organization. It was a chaotic sanctuary of our joint finances, but I sensed the clutter held buried treasures waiting to be unveiled. The earthy musk of aged paper hung in the air, mixed with the pungent aroma of stale coffee. Memories locked within those pages called to me. I dove in, sifting through bank statements and investment reports, the muted rustle of paper the only sound accompanying my silent quest. The dull click of the printer, once a distant background noise, became an ally I relied upon, producing copies upon copies like artifacts of my fight against deception. In a haze of focused determination, I stumbled upon a slip of paper, half hidden between the fabric of my reality, a deposit confirmation for an offshore account. I felt a rush of adrenaline. A slick brilliance coursed through my veins as I deciphered the details, a shadowy figure lurking beyond my awareness, a vestige of deceit masquerading as my husband. My heart raced as I gathered each shred of evidence, photos, chats, fragments of conversations hidden beneath layers of oblivion. I had grown accustomed to his smokescreen, feeling the warmth of deceit wrap around me tightly before I even knew what was happening. Now, it all became a jagged puzzle, the sharp edges cutting through the fog of confusion. With each keystroke on my laptop, how the familiar tapping resonated in the air filled me with empowerment. I meticulously compiled each email, every text message of insidious illusions and veiled truths captured in the screens of our encrypted conversations. I could hear Victor's taunts echoing in the back of my mind as I sifted through digital debris, haunting whispers of self-doubt. "You're crazy," he would mock, each accusation slicing through my confidence like a hot knife through butter. Yet, as the days rolled into nights, I began to transform. No longer a ghost in the shadows, I evolved into an avenger, a sentinel of my own narrative, determined to reclaim my life. Each late night fueled the fire in me. The sharp smell of coffee wafted through the air as I surrounded myself with documents, the fluorescent glow of the screen illuminating the potency of my resolve. But the relentless gaslighting seeped through the cracks, time and again. The way Victor's condescending tone lingered like cigarette smoke from a long-forgotten party. "You should let this go, darling. You're seeing things that aren't there." I would look in the mirror, eyeing my reflection for reassurance. Who was I beyond the shadows he had casted? When Lily introduced me to Marco, the lawyer, the axis of my world teetered once more. In his office, the air was laced with the scent of leather and freshly brewed espresso, a fragrant promise of legitimacy and assistance. The decor exuded an air of sophistication, bookshelves lined with texts outlining legal precedents, each one a gateway to justice. Marco had an easy charm, a smile that disarmed, putting me at ease despite the crisis that loomed. He asked me about the evidence I had gathered, leaning forward, a sense of urgency undisguised in his demeanor. I unfurled the labyrinth of deceit before him, each piece of paper a reflection of Victor's concealed world. With every word, the light began to seep into the darkest corners I had clung to. "This is a strong case," he said, eyes glistening with determination. "You're not alone in this. Let's ensure these lies don't go unchecked." That singular statement forged a tether of empowerment around my heart. Suddenly, the cacophony of voices in my head quieted, a chorus drowned out by certainty. Marco's calm presence determinedly unraveled the knots of self-doubt, extracting the mounds of evidence I had meticulously gathered. "We will expose him for who he really is," he declared, his voice resonating with confidence. As I left his office, I felt lighter, like the thick weight of despair had begun to lift, and the shadows lurking within my home no longer felt insurmountable. I would navigate this turbulent sea of lies, using the evidence I had stashed away, unraveling the secrets Victor had hidden. With every fleeting moment, I felt the embers of justice igniting within me. Together, we would fight back against the whirlwind of deceit that had choked me for far too long. With Marco's expertise and Lily's unwavering support, I would rise from the ashes of betrayal, reclaiming my destiny as my own architect, a phoenix unfurling its wings in the dawning light. The evening air felt electric with anticipation, an invisible current running through the room and igniting every nerve in my body. The venue was alive with the vibrant buzz of laughter and clinking glasses, bathed in warm golden light, wrapping around the guests like a cozy shawl. It was, ironically, the perfect backdrop for betrayal, and I had orchestrated every detail down to the last decadent canapé that floated on silver platters. Escargot, wrapped in velvety puff pastry, fragrant and rich, a tantalizing nod to the evening's false celebratory tone. The shimmering chandeliers overhead displayed their opulence with pride, their crystals sparkling like the freshly polished hopes I had once harbored, now twisted into weapons of exposure and vengeance. I glanced around at the sea of familiar faces, some feigning delight, others truly enthralled by the elegance of the evening, all unaware of the masquerade I had woven. Victor stood at the center, overly confident in the spotlight. He wore his customary tailored suit, a flash of pale blue that contrasted profoundly with the steely cold simmering beneath my skin. He joyously toasted his latest successes, his charming bravado on display for all to see. I watched, a storm brewing behind the calm facade I had painstakingly crafted, each heartbeat syncing with the familiar rhythm of impending justice. As the evening unfolded, I filled my glass with crisp white wine, the chilled liquid swirling around the rim like the maelstrom raging within me. Violin strings pierced the air, lilting and light, a beautiful irony that sang of artistry while I prepared to unveil stark truth. I watched laughter dancing across the faces of acquaintances, unaware of the impending avalanche that would crash upon them, burying him in the very debris he created with his deceit. Because tonight was not only a celebration, it was the setting of his judgment. "Ladies and gentlemen," I called, my voice cutting through the melodic hum of conversation like a knife, drawing eyes from every corner of the room. The energy in the air shifted as curiosity turned their attention toward me. I felt powerful standing there, anchored by the knowledge I had painstakingly amassed, poised for revelation. The feel of silk against my skin heightened my nerves, a testament to the hours I spent getting ready for this moment, selecting each piece of my outfit with care. The dress flowed elegantly, like poetry that enveloped me, its texture delicate yet resolute, mirroring my metamorphosis throughout this journey. I held the microphone, its cool metal sending a jolt through my fingers, grounding me. "Thank you for coming to celebrate Victor's remarkable accomplishments," I began, my voice low yet commanding, weaving through the crowd like intoxicating perfume, enveloping them in a web spun with deceit. I took a deep breath. I was live. This was happening. But tonight, I must confess that there's a more profound truth that needs ventilating. I paused, allowing the silence to thicken, suffocating the room under the weight of my words. The strings of uncertainty began to tighten in Victor's expression, a flicker of apprehension clouding the confidence that he wore like armor. "What do you mean?" Victor shot back, his voice tinged with the whiff of panic, tinged with the sweat of uncertainty. His demeanor fell from regal to feral. My faithful audience had quickly morphed into unsuspecting witnesses. "Tonight, I am here to expose a reality masked beneath smiles and well-crafted facades," I continued, the fire within me turning into an inferno. "A reality that has left me with nothing after 28 years of devotion." The crowded room trembled, whispers wrapping around the air, invasive like silverfish scuttling through the shadows. I caught sight of familiar faces, the concern dawning among them. Was it disbelief, shock, or anticipation? I thought I had built a life with a man who cherished me. I felt my pulse quicken, words tumbling forth with the weight of every moment I had spent in this illusion. But this is far from the truth. Victor, you have hidden millions from me. Funds accumulated in the shadows, evading even the IRS. It's time the truth saw the light. With deliberate grace, I gestured to the large screen behind me where the evidence I had gathered began to unfurl like orchestrated confessions, displacing layers of my reality with every slide. The papers illuminated with meticulous detail, bank statements enshrined in betrayal, the unreported income glowing ominously like beacons of deceit. Gasps erupted from the audience, rippling through the crowd like waves crashing upon shores. I could feel Victor's discomfort pouring from him, his features pale as the realization struck him. He had underestimated my resolve and the strength of my connections. Tonight, I've gathered not only the evidence showcasing your lies, but also the testimony of those who have witnessed your true character, I announced, heart racing, goosebumps rippling over my skin at the sheer intoxication of reclaiming my narrative. There he stood, my betrayer, now willing fodder for judgment. Victor stumbled back a step, his arrogance unraveling like the seams of an untailored jacket. "You won't get away with this. You're crazy delusional," he shouted, his booming voice cracking like a lost child crying out in a darkened corridor. But I stood unfazed, the laughter of our friends now morphing into whispers of empathy laced with shock. I could hear the chatter beneath, the incredulity coating the room like smoke from an extinguished candle. "Can you believe this? No way. Is she serious?" Encouraged, I continued. "You may have thought your secrets were locked away, safe behind a wall of charm and deceit, but this facade erodes tonight. You turned my sacrifices and trust into your playground, and now," I paused for effect, letting my words hang, "I intend to tear down the facade you built, brick by brick." With firm determination, I reached for the next slide, revealing a series of texts exchanged between Victor and his accountant, conversations filled with schemes designed to dodge scrutiny. The air thickened with tension, my heart pounding in my chest like a drum heralding my imminent victory. Naively, I defended you. I was the steadfast wife standing behind you like a shadow. I believed in your dreams, but never imagined those dreams were nourished on the fruits of my trust, cultivated with the sweet poison of lies. Lifting my chin higher, I noted the way Victor's bravado dissipated against the mounting evidence, the venomous entitlement he wore peeling away to reveal the frightened man beneath. The audience dwindled into hushed impatience, their hushed gasps punctuating the air like punctured sails in a storm. "Do you really think you can escape this?" I directed back to him, my voice ringed with clarity. As he opened his mouth to counter, scrambling for words that wouldn't save him, I continued. "The illusion of safety is fading swiftly. Your connections won't shield you from what's coming. They won't protect you once the IRS and authorities catch wind of what you've done, the fate you forged for yourself. This is not just my story, darling. It's yours too. This is the culmination of how your desperation led you here while I languished in your shadows. Tonight, the truth stays heavy and resolute in the air, a relentless truth that's here to usher you into your reckoning." The room quaked under the weight of my final sentence, the gathered guests almost revering the convergence of my truths as the last slide appeared, showcasing his name like a herald, proclaiming the bearer of deceit. The biting scent of betrayal hung poised like smoke waiting to be inhaled, laden with the weight of exposure, and I could almost taste the bittersweet tang of vindication lingering on my tongue. The air buzzed with an electric sensation rippling around us as Victor's mask crumbled. "Now, tell me, dear friends, would you have waited this long?" The question hung in the air, echoing through space. I welcomed their gasps, their newfound awareness washing over them, as I pulled the final thread from the tapestry of betrayal, daring them to confront their misconception of loyalty and deceit. The applause erupted with a sharpness dancing through the air like wildfire, a testament to victory and liberation. I had unveiled not only the monster before me, but also the strength inside of me that was finally ready to rise. As I stepped back, the cheers rang out in waves, a tidal surge of acceptance washing away the remnants of the illusion we once shared, leaving behind the embers of truth in the hearts of all those who witnessed my rebirth. Time unfurled itself in slow motion, marching forward with relentless defiance, as the initial exhilaration of the confrontation transformed into a surreal quietude. The rush of applause faded into nothingness, replaced by the exacting hum of the fluorescent lights above. I found solace in the silence that washed over me, a liminal space where I could finally exist unfiltered. In that moment, the cries of betrayal and revelation ringed like church bells in a cathedral, proclaiming my newfound freedom. As I walked through the now familiar venue, once woven with the threads of Victor's extravagant facade, I could almost feel the air thick with the scent of triumph and liberation, a sparkling effervescence that mingled delightfully with remnants of expensive perfumes, and the faint aroma of lingering hors d'oeuvres. My heels clicked against the glossy marble floor, the sound echoing like the final blows of a victory drum. Months had passed since that night of revelatory chaos, a whirlwind of legal battles and resurfaced truths morphing me into something fierce. I no longer bore the robes of a victim. I draped myself in the gilded clothes of a warrior, resilient and whole. Yet, the ramifications of Victor's deceit reached far beyond my own existence, rippling through those whose fates remained entwined with his. 6 months after my thunderous brawl against betrayal, the world had a way of presenting poetic justice. While I soared higher than I ever had before, my bank account swelling with restitution and new ventures illuminating my soul, Victor lay trapped in a web of his own creation. I'd taken him to court, while my expert jury of friends and lawyer-turned-eager witnesses helped unravel the financial disarray Victor had wielded like a sword against my heart. Victor's once bright career had dimmed faster than flickering candlelight in a gust of wind. Faced with the truth behind fabricated offshore accounts and tax evasion, the myriad deceptions he'd constructed began to crumble like an ancient castle besieged by time. Each stone of his empire, carefully stacked atop a foundation of lies, crashed down until he was left standing amongst debris. The whispers filtered through the air like a chilling wind, a storm brewing at the edges of our lives. Victor was now working 2 menial jobs, a stark contrast to the lavish lifestyle that once made him the toast of exclusive circles. I shuddered to think that a man who had dined from silver plates now stood in fast food lines, hands trembling as he handed meager bills to cashiers in fluorescent-lit stores that reeked of stale grease and overprocessed bread. Rumors of his downfall fluttered through those familiar social spheres where laughter used to echo off the walls, now saturated with a tension that hung thick enough to cut. Whispered conversations spun like spider silk, delicate yet binding, narrating how Victor had become an outcast, isolated and judged by erstwhile friends. Those who once surrounded him with adoration now turned away, eyes downcast as they shuffled past him, opting for velvet background impressions, rather than engagement with the stark reality he had become. Meanwhile, the mistress who had flitted through his life like a perfume-scented ghost had abandoned ship. She left him when the money drained away, unwilling to endure the stench of his failure washed in cheap cologne, filling her lungs with bitterness instead of the sweet floral notes of a life paved with riches. Her allure, once tantalizing like the first breath of a spring morning, faded alongside Victor's fortunes, leaving him alone and encircled by the silhouettes of his choices. I couldn't help but reflect each time I saw a news report, a casual scroll through the web revealing his depleted presence, each headline a brutal reminder of the consequences that followed deceit like a shadow. Business tycoon falls from grace into obscurity became a popular article, fragments of his fall echoing in the public sphere, renewed each time the ink dried on fresh articles. And with each passing day, I luxuriated in my transformation. I had shed the weight of Stephen's lies, the betrayal clouding my thoughts like a stormy sky, obscuring my vision. The heavy perfume of betrayal had dissipated, replaced instead by the invigorating scents of blooming flowers and crisp garden air. 6 months had redesigned me into someone unrecognizable. I stood before the mirror each morning, fingers brushing against my skin, a reminder of the resilience I had forged. I invested not just in my bank account, but into myself. Self-care routines enveloping me in rich creams that smelled like sunsets, and lathering soaps that danced like crisp linen against my skin. I adorned my body with fabrics that flowed like silk, while each strand of hair shimmered like cut diamonds in the light, each moment beaming with the joy I had reclaimed. I took joy in rediscovering elements of my identity that had been buried beneath layers of guilt and confession, a fashion sense burgeoning like wildflowers amid a bustling meadow. I began attending new art classes and participating in local exhibitions, lending my voice to vibrant canvases soaked in the essence of who I had once been and who I was becoming. The thrill of vibrant hues splashed against white blankness instantly injected me with adrenaline. The paintbrush became an extension of my rebirth. Laughter swelling between shared conversations with my friends surpassed any echoes of despair, our rendezvous a congregation of joyous transportations away from the past. In those gatherings, I introduced them to flush new beginnings, dinners spiced with laughter, and flavors so vibrant they harmonized against every drab memory of the past. They awakened in me a new rhythm, a stepping forward into possibilities laid out ahead, singing the praises of authenticity and new aspirations. Peace had draped itself around me like a soft, warm blanket, a contrast to the acrid dread that had once accompanied my nightfall. I tasted freedom on the tip of my tongue, a sweetness punctuated with every reimagined dream. My adventures began intertwining with the lives of individuals unburdened by shadows, their laughter, like the echo of wind chimes, filtering through the streams of my new life. But the most exhilarating revelation lay just beyond the horizon. With newfound confidence and self-reclamation, I began planning my next venture, a turn into entrepreneurship that had lingered at the edges of my dreams for years. With the financial restitution that victoriously flowed into my accounts from court settlements, I learned what fulfillment felt like as I penned my vision of a boutique inspired by kindness, curated to support women, from chic clothing to empowering conversations over coffee, where every sip would imbue the spirit of sisterhood. Like waves lapping against the shore, I welcomed the thought of expanding, embracing a community of empowered women to propel one another toward success. I envisioned an oasis where stories could be exchanged, where each woman could contribute her light, merging individual experiences into a tapestry woven strong enough to withstand the tests of time. Yet, in this simple, perfect moment of tranquility, another shiver of unease crept upon me, a rising urge to wrap up the remnants of this journey. In the tranquil shadows of those months, Victor's presence still cast its pallor in subtle ways, a soft echo looping through my mind, reminiscent of stagnant tides. Sitting at a wicker table under leafy palms, the fragrance of gardenias wafting toward me, I took a deep breath, absorbing the scenery, the rhythmic roll of laughter from friends around me, a reminder of what was gained as the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the clouds in soft pastels. In that relaxed comfort, a pulse of excitement flared within me. Amid the flickering glow of lanterns overhead, an idea materialized, a story yet to unfold, as outlandish and visceral as the last. I would gather the pieces of Victor's final acts of vengeance. The shadows continued to loom as my heart remembered their whispers behind the scenes, shrouded in grief and electric energy. The next chapter awaited, a story of a husband whose final moves would initiate an entirely new journey, one that could only be spun from audacity until the very last drop. The echo of perfect irony tickled my senses. I would take my story and transform it into an intricate tapestry of experiences, an adventure laced with his attempts at retaliation. With a smile spreading across my lips, amidst the ambiance of a live jazz band resounding softly in the background, I tossed my head back in laughter, teasing the universe to bore witness to the whimsical joy of the fates unwinding themselves, spinning tales of past lives and rebuilding hope anew, leasing a bright horizon. And so, as I marveled at the kaleidoscope of my new world, I brewed my next adventure, a scintillating dance with destiny, steeling myself for Victor's final clash, a saga that would pass through whispered rooms and reverberate, igniting the strength gathered above and beyond, a grandeur waiting to unfurl into the light.